This is Raptor News. On every forefront, we are being attacked as so-called black Hebrew Israelites. So we're going to start from the beginning, and I want to show you some things. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they hate. And they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulting against the hidden ones. They have said, Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance, that you forget who you are. Amnesia. You don't know your identity. I want you to check out something else. So you have all of these Christian apologists attacking the Hebrew Israelites for claiming to be who you are. Watch this. They are all uniting on all forefronts, the government and these Christian apologists, to go in and infiltrate and attack to stop you from doing what you are doing. Listen up, because this is the attack here.
But what's the key in reaching those who have been deceived by this, or helping people who are now hearing it and getting pulled away from the truth?
So why do they want to help black people get to what they call the truth and get out of Hebrew Israelite communities or groups or camps? Why do they want you out of the camps? Why do they dislike the teaching so much that they have all of these urban apologists coming after you? Watch this. They didn't stop you from selling dope. They didn't stop you from shooting each other in the south side of Chicago. They didn't stop you from going to an abortion clinic. They didn't stop you from stealing cars, prostitution, and everything else under the sun. But the moment you turn to the Most High God and start worshiping Him as a group, then all of a sudden you became, and look, they title, Black Hebrew Israelite Extremist. Let's listen to them, and they plan on how they're going to stop us.
Well, one thing real quick, I know you mentioned the Hebrew. Just again, they do not all accept Lashawan Kodash. There are a number of the groups who speak legitimate Hebrew, and a few of the guys have even become quite proficient. Excuse me, a few of the guys and gals have become quite proficient in legitimate modern Hebrew. That's one thing. But you're saying, why are they being pulled away? I mean, I wanna.
I mean, you hit on it well when you played the devil's advocate, and you spoke of the anger, and you spoke of the injustice, and you spoke of the appeal, and yeah, it's time, righteous anger, and stand up, and now this is your spiritual heritage. How can we reach these people? What are the keys to reaching them and to delivering them from deception?
Well, some Hebrew Israelites here, and this will probably say, Vocab's being the slick devil that he is, he only mentioned one aspect. The other reason we're drawn to this is because it's so clearly evidenced. So you might have someone who say, I'm not angry about anything. I just want my rightful heritage. I've looked at the facts, and it's obvious that we are the people that this book speaks of. I'm sorry if you can't handle that, but God's in control, not you. So there are people who would have that and probably want to make that caveat in there. Pulling people out.
So they want you out of it. They don't want you to know your identity. So watch this. They took your identity. They're trying to erase your identity. Watch this. This is urban apologists attacking Hebrew Israelites. What makes this group dangerous to minorities is the ethnocentric view of salvation it claims as a way to find meaning within the suffering and loss experienced in American history. Black Hebrew Israelites have twisted the scriptures to gain empowerment and identity, and identity, and identity, and identity. They don't want you to know who you are, so the name of Israel will be remembered no more. But there's more to it. Now you got the FBI targeting what? black identity extremists. That's what they're calling you. And notice that they use the word extremist, and notice he using the word extremism. Extremists. And what do they say? 2018 and 2019, the FBI conducted nationwide assessments of black identity extremists under an intelligent collection operation called Iron Fist, more like iron around your neck, prioritizing these cases over investigations of far more prevalent violence from white supremacists and far-right militant over that period, including mass shootings at Pittsburgh Synagogue and El Paso Shopping Mall, blah, 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 blah. The problem is identity. The problem is identity. The problem is identity. They saying you extreme because you know your identity, because they wanted the name of Israel to be remembered no more. You go all the way back to Willie Lynch, right? And watch this. He's telling whites, he's a corporation, telling whites, selling this to them, how to make a good sleeve, right? And then he's talking about breeding in, treating the black man and putting the black man and the horse together, stripping down the strong black man, tarring him and feathering him in front of everybody, tying one horse to one leg and the other horse to the other leg, and ripping them apart in front of everybody and beating the holy hell out of all the males, making the female be empowered, Oprah Winfrey, and all this other bullshit. They've been doing this and plotting against our people all this damn time. They still doing this shit today, turning the light-skinned ones against the dark-skinned ones, the elders against the youth, and so on and so forth, right? And then watch this. Breeding themselves in and then putting the baby out in the field, and that's what the book is saying. Who planted the weeds with it? The tares. The evil one did this, right? And watch this. Crossbreeding niggers mean taking so many drops of good white blood and putting them into as many nigger women as possible. Still doing this. Varying the drops by various tones that you want, and that's shade, color shades, and then letting them breed with each other until another cycle of color appears as you desire. Turning everybody from the original darker colors to these lighter colors. What this means is you put the niggers and the horse in the breeding pot, mix the niggers, some asses, and some good white blood, and what do you get? You get multiplicity of colors of ass backwards unusual niggers, running tied to backwards ass long-headed mules, the one productive of itself, the other sterile, the one constant, the other dying. We keep the niggers constant, for we may replace the mules for another tool, but mule and nigger tied together to each other, neither knowing where the other came from, neither productive for itself, nor without each other. And if you don't understand the language that he's saying is, if you breed the black man out, he don't know who he is. He's trying to identify, like we doing now. Look at everybody who bred light skinned in Brazil. Now you went from the slave looking Brazilian to a more European looking Brazilian, and a more European looking Cuban, and a more European looking Ecuadorian, and every other country, Argentinian and everything else. When you look more European, then you identify with European, and you lost your identity. What are they doing over there in the false Jerusalem? We know them are not the people, because they are not in bondage to the end of time. Those people, the time is not ended. We're not supposed to ever see the land again until the end of time, until the time of the Gentiles. You know, and basically they over there in the land, what? Stealing our identity. Everything was about erasing, cutting us off, from being a nation, that the name of Israel be and no longer in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are the Confederates against you. All of these, the FBI, Willie Lynch, Urban Apologists, Vocab Malone, and Michael Brown, all of these people are Confederates against you, and we are at war, and it's a spiritual war. The more we keep breeding out, the worse the war becomes, because that's what they wanted you to do, is breed out, so that you do not know and do not identify with anything. You will always remain to be the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and never found, and no longer remembered. Think about that. This is Raptor News.